I'm so sorry that actually I forgot to record the first session. Is everybody there? Can we start? Okay, so the next topic we are going to see is uh, ADL functions or like functional activities. Um, Actually, in rehabilitation is a very vast one, but we just see the topics whichever is more related to our physio. Okay, so that's why like it's like a little bit here and there. Okay, so we don't see the complete rehabilitation because that complete rehabilitation is a different 3 years course. So where they will read the all the rules, regulations, roles of the rehabilitation team member and other persons. So who are going to add like the physiatrist who will be the head of the rehabilitation unit will be learning that particular learning the complete one. Okay, so we just since like we are a physiotherapist, we just the uh, see the topics whichever is more relevant to us. Okay, so next is like functional activities. When we say functional activities, we just see more about the activities of daily living. Okay, so we see more about the activities of daily living. We will see how we assess how we are able to assess them and how to train them. So that is these are the things we will be seeing in this particular lecture. So what is ADL means? It is the functions or it is the activities we do to maintain ourselves. So that is called as ADL. So this activities is done daily to maintain ourselves, maybe maintain our appearance, maintain our health, and maintain our hygiene, all those things. So the activities of daily living means there are activities that we do daily to maintain our self. So those are called as ADL. So that will be more related to the mobility. Like mobility means you need to walk to the bathroom. We need to uh, walk to the kitchen. You need to walk to the living room. So that is your mobility. So there your mobility will come. Then communication in the among the family members. Then home management. So if you want to eat, you need to prepare you need to cook. If you want to take bath, you need to fetch water. So all these comes under the ADL activities. So the activities that are done daily to maintain the self is called as ADL. Okay? And these functions, like when you are like normally we learn these functions as we develop. That means as a child, maybe our parents will be helping us. Then slowly we learn all those activities and slowly we do all those activities independently. But because of any problem, maybe because of a disease or because of an injury or because of an accident or something, suddenly the person's ability reduces or the person become disabled, and because of that their functional ability will reduce. And as a PT, our role is to assess these function. So that means like we will be assessing their functional ability, and according to their functional ability we will be giving them the training. Okay, so why do we need to assess them means we need to know what is their level, and according to that only we will be able to give the training. Because if the function is if the functional level is very less, then sometimes we may not be able to bring back their ADL activities. So we may not be able to bring back their some of the ADL activities. Okay, so that's why like we have to assess them, then according to that we have to give them the training. Sometimes we can bring back their normal life, sometimes we can bring back their near normal, sometimes we can bring back their normal with lot of modifications. Like a spinal cord injury person means with the wheelchair how they can do this ADL. So that is our role. So this functional assessment, it is of four different parts. So as a PT, we play majorly in the physical function. It is not that we don't concern the other function, but still we concern, but we work towards this physical function. Okay, so other functions we just give counseling or other things, but other peoples are there to take care of the other function. Okay, so this functional assessment is divided into four. One is like physical function, mental function, then emotional function, and social function. So physical function means the with the physical anatomical structure, how much functions you are able to do, and what like how much training you need to do give, and what are the modifications we do. So that will come under the physical function. Mental function is his mental ability to think, that is cognitive function. His mental ability to retain the memory, his mental ability to focus on the things. So all those will come under the mental function. Emotional is again it is like a sensation. So the emotional, how emotional they are affected. So according to that, they may need a counseling. They may need a counseling session. Then social function is how much in the society, how much they are able to do their activity, and how much modifications we need to do. So in this social function, your pre vocational assessment also will come under the social function. So their ability to work in the ability to work in a society, or ability to work in a particular place. So according to that, you will be modifying. So your pre-vocational evaluation will come under the social function. So it is not the one and only, but you have other things also. So first we will see about the physical function. So physical functions here refers to motor and the sensory skills that are needed to do the day-to-day activities. Okay, so motor and the sensory means like your mostly neurological and the muscular ability. Okay, so this is divided into two. One is BADL. BADL means basic activity of daily living, like feeding, dressing, toilet activities, transferring in a way, transfer or mobility. So that will be your basic activities of daily living. Then IADL means instrumental activities of daily living. Instrumental activities of daily living means for this basic activity, we need to do some other extra works. For feeding, then you need to go for a shopping, get the things, then come cook, and then only you can feed. Okay, so for the basic needs, you need to do some extra works. So that is your instrumental activities of daily living. Okay, so sometimes if you are able to achieve the independency in basic activities of daily living, that will be more than enough. Okay, when compared to the other, so other instrumental activities, even if it is not, if they are not able to do independently also, we can have a lot of other modifications. So we can buy online, you can buy you can ask somebody else for you to buy, you can ask somebody else to cook, you can have a maid to cook, all these things. So basic activities are the most important one where you need to achieve independency, but that doesn't mean that everybody will be able to achieve the independency. Some may not be able to achieve the independency. Okay. Then mental function refers to the intellectual and the cognitive part of an individual. So if his mental function is normal, then only you will be able to achieve the physical function, because he is supposed to understand what you are giving. He is supposed to like he is supposed to learn the skills. That means uh, he needs to put his mental effort, then only he will be able to learn the things like solving, attention, concentration. If the mental function is not normal, then there is no use of physical function. Is that clear? So that is about the mental function. So emotional is, it refers to the affective skills, that is coping up strategy, how he is able to cope up the strategy, because the when you are training the ADL, sometimes it will take a lot of time to achieve a single moment. Again depends on his disability level. So according to the disability level, the strategies will the need of amount of training needed and the amount of stress they are going through will be very difficult. So for example, for us it's very easy task to go to the bathroom and brush, but for a disabled person it will take a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to do the particular activity. Okay, so the person should be able to cope up with the stress. So for the simple activity itself, they might take a lot of time as well as lot of effort. So how much emotionally the person is able to take up the stress and take up the trauma is your emotional function. Because after giving the training, if they are not emotionally able to take up, then they will not do the things at all. They will again go to into depression and they will become more dependent. Okay, so this emotional function also is very important. Then the social function that refers to the individual performance of social role and obligation, like social interaction. Okay, so when you are giving this physical training, there is physical functional training, you need to check the mental and the emotional function. So once they are okay with the mental and the emotional function, then only you have to go into the physical function. Otherwise, no point in just giving the treatment or just giving the training. Okay, then at last, once they achieve the physical function, then you have to make them to utilize it in the social, in the society. So by you. Hi everyone, are you all back? I think the internet is a little bit unstable. So can you know till which slide you were able to see? Till which slide you were all there? Okay, I think the internet is very unstable. We will try to see how far we are able to go. Till which slide you were able to, you were there? Previously, till which slide you were able to see? Like from the beginning or in between?
This slide, Miss.
No, from which slide I want to repeat. I don't know when you all, like when it got disconnected. So from which slide I want to repeat? Oh, okay. So only now it got disconnected then. Okay. Okay, so like after doing a mental and the emotional assessment, then we need to do a physical assessment. Then after physical assessment, we will be giving them the training. Then we will make them or we will ask them to utilize that particular training in the society. So maybe like if you are giving them training in the for mobility, same mobility they can use, and they can walk in the garden. Same thing they will be able to use and go to their office like that. So all this four will be going hand in hand. Is that clear? So we have for the physical assessment, we have certain tools. So all these we can use any one of the tools. So it is not that all the tools we have to use it. We can use any one of the tool, and we can assess their independence level. Then according to that, we are going to give the training. So I think all these tools you would have learned previously. Have you learned these tools previously, or I have to teach you the tools? Okay, never mind. Like I will show you the tools so that you will have better understanding. Okay, so we will come back to the tools later. So after assessing, then you will go into the training. So the training, the main purpose of the training is to attain the maximum function of the person. That is to attain the maximum independency in his ADL activities. So that is the main purpose of the training. So this training is no, you will not be able to give the training in a very complex manner. You have to break the training and give in a simple steps. So for example, if you're going to you have assessed the person, and you're planning to give feeding training. So for feeding training, first you will be breaking the component into a simple one. So first you will be giving training flexion and extension movement for the fingers. Okay, so first you will start with flexion and extension movement of the fingers. So you will be doing you will be bringing the movement using graded exercises. Graded exercises is nothing but your, according to the muscle power, you have to go with the exercises. So if the muscle power is 3, then you go with the assisted resisted exercises. If the muscle power is 2, then you will be going into assisted exercises like that. So according to the MMT, you have to go for the graded exercises. So that graded exercises you will start from single muscle. So first you start from fingers. So once you achieve the finger movements, then you teach them how to hold a spoon. Okay, then the wrist movement, then the elbow movement, then finally then the shoulder movement. So then finally, once you have achieved all the movements, then you will be practicing the real movement, that is a complete movement of holding the spoon, then taking the food, then bringing to the mouth. So first, the complete real situation you have to practice, but you have to practice. You have to break down into a simple component. Then you start giving exercises, that is graded exercises according to the MMT. Then you give the exercises and improve the muscle power. Then you utilize that in the real life situation. Okay, so that is how you will be able to bring out the ADL. So for this, it will take long time. It is definitely not going to come in 1 day or 2 day. It will take a very long time for you to achieve a very simple movement. For example, the simple finger movements itself will take little longer time, okay, to achieve. So like that depends on the muscle power. For example, if a muscle is in muscle power 3, then it is easy for you to improve. If the muscle power is 1, then it will take long time for you to improve. Again, it depends on the muscle power. Okay, so that is the steps. So what are the objectives of this ADL training is, the objective means like this, the like how you are going to do it. So first is you start with a simple task and go towards a complex one. Okay, so you can say like rather than objectives, you can also say that these are the factors of ADL training, or these are the factors you have to depend on for the ADL training. So you cannot go directly to a complex movement. You have to start with a simple movement and go towards a complex movement. So then other thing is, for you it may be a simple movement, but for the patient it will be a complex movement. So you have to keep that in mind. So for example, getting up from a bed will be a very simple task for all of us, for a normal people. But for a hemiplegic person, or for a spinal cord injury person, it is a very very bigger task. Okay, so simple movement itself will be a bigger task for them. So you have to understand that, and you have to start with a very simple task, then go towards a complex one. Then next is like you need to specifically design the treatment according to each individual, because each individual's learning capacity will be different, and the learning ability and learning style will be different. So you can't use it, it has to be tailor made according to the people. You can't use the same technique for everyone. So that you have to keep in mind. Then go into step by step approach, so that it is so that they will be able to keep that in mind, and they will be able to use it. Because many of them, disabled persons, sometimes their memory will be affected, sometimes their cognitive power level will be lesser. So they will find it very difficult to keep in mind. So once you go and start the training daily, you have to start from the beginning. Then only they will be able to keep in mind. So if you think that okay, yesterday we have finished that, then directly if you go and start the next one, they will totally forget the previous one. So you have to start from this basic daily and improve. Then other thing is like you have to go step by step. Then before training you have to arrange everything for the patient. So sometimes the patient may be in a wheelchair, sometimes the patient will be in lying position. So according to them you have to arrange a space for them, then you have to do. Then the side by side you have to do the architectural modification at home and the office. So as the patient improves, so like you need to see like for everybody there will be some limitation. That means at one point they will not be able to get the complete near normal. They will be going with modifications only, they need a lot of modifications. So the architectural modifications also can be done side by side, and it has to be done at the home. If they are going to office, then you have to do it at the office. If they are going to mingle in the society, you have to see how they will be able to mingle in the society. So these things you need to keep in mind. Then the performance is modified and corrected as it is needed, and later it will be repeated to ensure the skilled performance. So as and when it needed, you can modify and you can correct it. So for example, if you are starting with the finger movements, okay, and you are going the finger movements, you cannot do the same movement till the muscle power is coming to 5, isn't it? So before that, side by side you will be starting the wrist movement also. Then side by side you will start, as it is improving little bit, then you will start the elbow movement. So sometimes when you perform the elbow movement, you may need some modification or support in the wrist. Okay, so later once the wrist is improving, then you don't need that modification. So that is what they are saying here. So the performance is modified according to the need, and it is corrected if needed. Okay, so once they, I'm sorry, today the internet is so unstable. Like both office internet and my personal internet is also very unstable. Okay, so as and when needed, you have to modify the training and you have to correct the training. Okay. So these are the points or factors you have to keep in mind when you are giving ADL training. Then what is the benefit? So benefit is like they can lead a near normal life. Okay, so the that means benefit of the training. So what are the benefits of the training? So when you are doing giving the training, you will be at the end you will be doing the you will be doing the needed skills itself. Directly you will be doing the needed skills itself. So that will be helping them to do the understand the movement, and they will be coping up with you in a way, and they will start to cope up with you. For example, if you are training them for eating purpose, so you will be starting with fingers, and slowly fingers, elbow, hand, like that, one by one, one after the other exercises you will be keep on adding, and you will be doing the exercises. So the person will not know for what he is doing the movement, or for what he is doing the exercise. So at the end of every session, if you try to do the real movement, that is feeding movement, then he will understand, okay, for this only he is doing the exercises one by one. Then he will know the real situation. Then he will try to concentrate more and try to maximize his ability more. Okay, so if you are simply doing the upper limb exercises and send him home, he will not know, he will not understand for what he is doing the movement. So slowly his his he will be losing his interest. Okay, so he will just think, why she is doing this movement alone, like upper limb movement, am I going to do any bodybuilding activities, or what, why I'm supposed to do the weightlifting, all those things. So he will not understand what is the real meaning. So end of every session you are supposed to do the real scenario, so that the patient understand the training and he gives his maximum cooperation. Then next is he will be able to return back to the pre normal level. So before the accident or before the disease, he was having a particular, he was leading a life. So he will be able to bring, you will be able to bring back to a near normal life. Then we can improve the finer activity by improving the muscle movement. So finer movement means precise joint movement can be improved when we are giving this ADL, because we are going to do step by step. We are going to do very simple one, then going to the complex. Then we will be able to use the needed supportive devices, and we can improve their ADL independence. Okay, so despite of the disability, they will be able to have achieved certain independence. Okay, then. So for improving the ADL, we are having a minimum criteria for each and every movement. So for example, if you want to improve their ability to dress up themselves, then they should have a upper limb muscle power of between 3 to 4. That means all the upper limb muscle power should be between 3 to 4, and the head should be stable. Then only they will be able to uh, uh, wear their upper dress. If their head is unstable, then they will not be able to wear the upper dress. So they are supposed to, their neck should be stable. Then the range of motion of the upper limb should be of this range. Okay, then they should have at least a minimal sitting balance, with or without support. So if they have all these things, then only you will be able to train them for ADL dressing. So like this, for each activity, you have a minimum criteria. So that only you are going to assess in the assessment. So once you have the minimum criteria, or once you feel that we will be able to achieve the minimum criteria, then you start giving the training. Okay, so for example, if you feel that there is no point, that is like if the patient is totally quadriplegic, so the upper limb muscle power will not be able to improve at all. In that case, no point in going for ADL training of dressing, because he will not definitely achieve this. So, by doing the functional assessment, you will know the patient's level, and you will know whether we will be able to improve them or not. So, if we are able to improve them to the certain minimal criteria, then we will be starting the training, and we will be giving them the training. Okay. then. So what are the problems that are encountered during the ADL training? So first thing is breathing ability. That means like because of long-term immobility, or because of long-term in bed, they may have some problem. So first problem is breathing difficulty. So they, if the person is in bed for a very long time, definitely the vital capacity will reduce at least to half. Okay, so for ADL training, you need minimum half of the vital capacity so that you are able to improve their breathing capacity. Okay, so first is breathing problem. Second is if they have pressure sore, then you have to give treatment for the pressure sore, heal the pressure sore, then only you will be able to go